Why do modern day dogs suck? Dogs used to be the ultimate companions, bone-crushing wolves that stayed by your side and sled teams that carried you through snowy landscapes. Now, if you change your chihuahua's food too fast, he'll have a tummy ache and throw up. So what happened? Roll the timeline back tens of millions of years. Long before wolves, the ancestors of dogs actually split from the cat side of the carnivore family tree and started their own line of hunters. By the time you hit the Eocene-Oligocene era, roughly 40 to 30 million years ago, you're looking at small, foxish proto-canids picking their way through ancient forests. From that family, three big branches emerge. Small civet-looking canids, Phlorophagenes, the bone-crushing dogs with jaws like industrial presses, and the modern branch, Caninae, wolves, jackals, coyotes, foxes, and eventually dogs. The bone crushers were no joke. Some were bear-sized, built to crack skeletons. They were apex predators that owned North America for a long stretch before vanishing. Massive torque, brutal power, nothing cute about them. They're gone, but they show you what canine cousins can be when natural selection only cares about survival without art. Fast forward along the canine line and true wolves appear. A few bold wolves stumble onto a new trick: live close to humans. We make waste, waste means food. The wolves with less fear and the ones that were better at reading our moods get the most scraps and the least rocks thrown at them. Over many generations, that tiny behavioral edge snowballs into anatomy and temperament changes. That's self-domestication in plain terms. Somewhere along this gradient, you get creatures that are still wolfish but noticeably better at hanging around our camps and reading our gestures. They don't wake up one morning as dogs, they slide there, pup by pup. Archaeology gives us high-res snapshots. The Bonn Oberkassel burial in Germany, approximately 14,200 years ago, includes a juvenile dog interred with two people, with bone signs of a serious illness that would have killed a wild animal. Someone fed, protected, and carried that dog through weeks of weakness. No one does that for a wolf that doesn't work for them, meaning this relationship is already different. Once dogs were in, they diversified with us. In the far north, people weren't just living with dogs, they were breeding specialized sled teams. Ancient Arctic dogs show bodies tuned for cold, endurance, and cooperation. That job description, pull heavy loads over frozen nothingness at a steady clip, demands everything wolves are good at, and more. Stamina, social timing, and a thermostat that won't quit. Elsewhere, dogs ran with hunters. In ancient Egypt, you see elegant, arrow-shaped sighthounds on tomb walls. Long legs, deep chests, built to sprint and to spot. Across the Mediterranean and into Asia, heavy Mastiff-type dogs guarded camps and herds, a living perimeter with a bark you'd take seriously. As herds became wealth, dogs took on two opposite jobs: livestock guardians, bred to plant themselves between wolves and sheep and not blink, and herding dogs, bred to gather, split, and steer flocks with eyes and speed. In forests and wetlands, scenthounds unspooled long, patient trails with noses that outclass ours by a mile. Retrievers ran straight lines through icy water to bring down birds home gently in a soft mouth. If you're looking for top-tier predator energy, it's everywhere in this era, just rerouted for human needs. Reliable performance under stress. The bond deepens in daily ways we don't always see in museums. Dogs scavenge our middens, but they also warn us when strangers approach, pick up scraps a hunter drops, and keep vermin down around grain. The original deal is simple. We select for dogs that pay attention to us and make themselves useful. In return, they get safety, calories, and breeding chances. Over time, those soft skills, attunement to human pointing, patience around kids, eagerness to work for a word and a glance, become their own kind of strength. So when do dogs stop being just co-workers and become companions? The line is blurry, but the arc is clear. In Imperial China, palace courts bred tiny lion dogs, chosen as much for looks and personality as for any job. Their work was presence, warmth in the sleeves, amusement, a lap that wagged. In Rome, you find both ends of the spectrum at once. Large guardians chained at doorways, and small lapdogs that show up in art tucked into folds of fabric and mythology. Across Mesoamerica, ancient Techichi were companions and had ritual roles that would eventually echo in the modern Chihuahua. In Japan, the Japanese chin became a symbol of refinement. In Europe, toy spaniels followed nobles from hall to carriage to drawing room. The key shift is that companionship itself becomes a selected trait. Calm in clutter, friendliness to strangers, low prey drive indoors, the kind of face that makes people want to scoop you up, these are now strengths in courtly life. A wolf is strong by outrunning elk. A palace dog is strong by lowering the blood pressure of a queen. For thousands of years, people shaped dogs mostly for function. Then the 1800s rang the bell. Britain invents organized dog shows, writes formal breed standards, and founds kennel clubs. The scoring system changes. Instead of does he move sheep well, it becomes does he match the written ideal of head length, stop angle, tail set. To preserve identity, stud books close. Only dogs born to registered parents can be registered in that breed. There are upsides: consistent type, predictable size, talents preserved in specialized lines. There are also downsides: narrow gene pools and the popular sire effects, where one winning dog fathers a lot of litters and spreads not just his shape, but his hidden weaknesses far and wide. Selection drifts toward appearance, and sometimes the dial keeps turning past healthy function. Muzzles shortened beyond easy airflow, backs elongated beyond what hip discs like, coats lengthened beyond what skin can keep cool. Not every breed went the show-ring route exclusively. Working lines persisted for herders, sledders, police, and military. But in the urban middle class, pet dogs became a hobby and then an industry. Even before Victorian showmanship, domestication had begun to bend dog bodies. When humans select animals for tameness, the ones least stressed by us, odd side effects tend to travel with the calm temperaments. Floppier ears, piebald, patchy coats, shorter snouts, curly tails, and more juvenile behavior that lasts into adulthood. Scientists call this cluster domestication syndrome. One leading idea is that it's tied to alterations in the development of cells that build both stress hormone tissues and certain bits of ear, face, and pigment. Whether that exact mechanism is the whole story or not, the pattern is undeniable. We bred for nice, and nature was the one that made them cute. Then fashion took over and pushed some traits to extremes, especially in brachycephalic breeds, short-faced dogs like pugs, bulldogs, and French bulldogs. The round, baby-like faces light up human brains, but the plumbing behind those faces can be compromised. Narrowed nostrils, long soft palates that flop into airways, kinks in the breathing passages, reduced ability to cool by panting. That bundle has a name: brachycephalic obstructive airway syndrome, and it can mean snoring, exercise intolerance, heat risk, and chronic gut issues from the effort of breathing. Short legs came with their own trade-offs. Many beloved low-slung breeds, Dachshunds, Corgis, Basset Hounds, carry extra copies of a growth-related gene that makes limbs shorter. It's cute, but it also ups the odds of intervertebral disc disease, a painful spine problem. None of this means small or cute dogs are doomed. Many live long, happy lives. But when people ask, why are dogs so weak now, what they're often seeing are the trade-offs of extreme traits we selected because we loved how they looked or behaved in apartments, not because those traits make good athletes. What about that kibble thing I talked about at the beginning? Why does my dog throw up if I change its food too fast? Surely the powerhouse canines in history didn't have a consistent diet of kibble, so shouldn't dogs be used to this? Well, inside every dog is a buzzing microbiome, a living community of gut bacteria that help break down food, make vitamins, and talk to the immune system. That community tunes itself to what it sees daily. A dog on the same kibble for months develops a gut team that's really good at that recipe. If you suddenly swap it out, you don't just surprise the dog, you surprise the microbes. And the result is, well, the dog throws up on your carpet. It looks like weakness, but it's mostly specialization. Given a slow transition, blend old and new over a week, the microbiome slides to the new lineup and the stomach behaves. There's also an evolutionary angle. Compared with wolves, many domestic dogs carry more copies of a gene that helps digest starch. Dogs evolved alongside our camps and farms, where food scraps and later grains were part of the daily scene. That doesn't mean dogs should live on bread, but it does mean their digestive systems aren't faulty for handling human-style diets. They're tuned for them. The flip side, you can absolutely keep a dog's gut flexible. It just takes gradual change, fiber, and variety introduced thoughtfully. It's easy to think dogs got weak if your mental image is a stroller poodle in a cafe. Zoom out globally and the picture flips. Most of the world's dogs are not purebred house pets, they're free-ranging village dogs, the brown, medium-sized, short-haired, prick-eared generalists you see around fishing docks, alley markets, and farmyards. They scavenge, warn, follow, and weave themselves into human life without a schedule, a leash, or a vet plan. Nature and neighborhood pressure shape them into tough, middle-of-the-road athletes. They are not weak, they're adaptable. Even in pet-centric countries, the old strength never left. Watch a border collie work 300 sheep with a stare and a crouch. Watch a Malinois scale a wall and then sit like a statue on command. Watch detection dogs sift 1 billion scent molecules to find a teaspoon of explosive in a stadium. Watch SAR dogs follow a hiker's trail through a parking lot maze. Guide dogs thread a blind handler across a busy city. Watch sled teams churn out mile after mile under the northern lights. Those bodies and minds are strong. Just not in the ways a wolf is strong. They're strong in the ways we ask them to be. And that's the theme. When the scoreboard changes, the training changes. We replaced run down dinner with read a human eyebrow, chew bone with relax and cuddle with me. If you expect wolf metrics, you'll call that weakness. If you measure what they actually do, you'll call it a different kind of power.